Hello, we're on lesson 100, integers, algebraic addition of integers. This is probably one of the most confusing topics that I get in the math that I teach, adding positive and negative numbers. It's not real complicated if you think about it, but sometimes it gets you tangled up. So integer, the counting numbers, they're opposites and zero. So 1, 2, 3. The opposite of 1 is negative 1. The opposite of 2 is negative 2, negative 3, and then you add 0. So I've got some counting numbers here, and it goes on forever, right? So this is a thermometer. So let's say it's negative 10, and the temperature rises to 20 degrees. How far did it rise? Okay, so I can say, oh, it went 10 degrees here. Right? So up 10 more, up 20. So it went a total of 30 degrees upward, right? Thank heavens we're in Minnesota, or not in Minnesota. In Florida, it'd be more like 50 to 95, huh? Anyway, go to 0 and then keep going. So you can't just do like you normally do with adding and subtracting. You got to kind of take into account how far it is from 0 and then how far this is from 0. So play with that a little bit in your book. I wanted to show you a little something. So I've got my, I realize I do all these fractions. I actually have pizzas, so we can use pizzas for fractions. In this case, we're just going to use it because I have them. So I've got 3 pieces of pizza, right? What if I add a negative 3? In other words, take away 3. I have 3 pieces. I take away 3 pieces. How many do I have? 0. So positive 3 plus negative 3 is 0. Does it make sense? Okay. This is like 2nd grade, 1st grade, kindergarten math. I don't know. I have 3 pieces. I take away 2. I have 1 left. That's the same as saying 3 plus negative 2, right? That makes sense? Okay, we'll put our pizza back. Let's look at example 1. And that one tells us positive 8 plus negative 5. So positive 8 plus negative 5. I find that if that looks confusing, if you put brackets around it like that, or parentheses, it makes it a little bit easier to read. Maybe not, but sometimes it helps. The book gives you one way. I'm going to give you another way. So look at the book. See if they want you to go from 0 to negative 8 and then back. I say start with your first number. Put your finger there. If you're adding a negative, go backwards, go to the left. If you're adding a positive, go forward. Okay? So if I'm at 8, and I'm just going to start there, it makes it so much easier. You don't have things going back and forth. I'm going to add a negative, which means go to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 8 plus negative 5 is 3, right? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to take away 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many do I have left? 3. So it's not as complicated as it might seem, but it gets you tangled again. All right, examples 2 and 3, we're going to use the same number line. Example 2 is negative 5 plus negative 3. So remember I told you to start with the first number, but start on negative 5. I'm adding a negative. Again, I can do that if I want to. So I'm going to go that way to the left. Start there. 1, 2, 3. Equals negative 8. Cool, right? I'll make it bigger so you can see it. Okay. Example 2 says, example 3, negative 6 plus a positive 6. Once we get a little bit further along, we won't probably put the positive sign there, but for right now it helps. Okay, so I'm going to start with negative 6, and I'm going to add a positive. So I'm going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I get 0. So anytime I add my opposites together, I'm going to get 0. Negative 3 plus positive 3 is 0. Negative 99 plus positive negative 99 is 0. So opposites, when I add them together, are always 0. Okay, let's see. We are going to, that's kind of example 4 too, because I just did the brackets, right? Positive 6 plus a negative 6. So they swap the order, and they're going to tangle you up in just a minute with our negative signs. But again, am I adding opposites? Yes. So my answer is 0. That's example 4. Okay, example 5 is finding the opposites. So the opposite of negative 7 is 7. The opposite of 10 is negative 10. The opposite of 99 is negative 99. So that's really easy. Now we're going to start using that information. Okay, so example 6 is where we might get a little tangled up. So negative 10 minus a minus 6. You know what? One of my kids, he's probably 22 now, came up with this idea that anytime you have two negatives together, they turn into a cross because it's a hard problem. And he always said, oh, help me, Jesus, on this problem. So remember that. Okay, so I've got my number line. There's a negative 5, 5, and 10. Okay, I'm going to start with negative 10. I'm going to subtract, but I'm going to subtract a negative. So I'm going to subtract the opposite. So this is negative 6, and that's the opposite of negative 6. So I'm really going to add. I told you it was going to get tangly. So this problem is really that. If you have those two negatives, the opposite of an opposite, you end up here, okay? Opposite of negative 6, that's what that negative sign means, is a positive. So, my kids, I always told them, when you have your hands like this, you see the two negative signs, they say, oh, two negatives together. It's a help me Jesus problem. And you get a cross, oops, way down low, and it turns into a positive, and it's an easy problem. Jesus helps you out. Again, kind of silly and not sacrilegious, because we really do need help on those. Do you guys ever ask for help while you're in the middle of hard stuff? So, negative 10 plus 6. I'm going to end up with a negative 4, right? Because I'm going to count my 6 spaces. Okay. Example 7. Negative 3 minus a positive 5. Okay, so this is telling me that I have negative 3 and the opposite of negative 5. So I'm really going to say negative 3 plus negative 5. Because that sign means it's the opposite. I'm going to put a PBS. Oh, so let's finish it up. So negative 8, right? So I'm starting at negative 3. I'm adding a negative 5, so I go backwards to negative 8. I'm going to put a PBS video on the website. I want you to watch it. There's 2 of them, I think. And it says there's no such thing as subtraction. You go, whoa. Let me show you a little bit about that. So 3 minus 6 plus a negative 2 plus 5 minus 8. Still looks really complicated, doesn't it? So what they're going to suggest is that you take all of these little operators here. See how I've got a no number in between? So I'm going to put a little parenthesis around that one. I've got no number there. That's a negative sign. So I'm going to put a plus in between. Remember, there's no such thing as subtraction. So then I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to say, that could be a little positive. If I rewrite it that way, it is so much easier if I'm just adding everything. You can add negative numbers, right? So there's no such thing as subtraction. If you, instead of thinking that as a subtraction sign or a minus sign, think of it as a -6 or the opposite of 6. That'll make it easier. So let's do that problem. It's not in the book, so we're just playing right now. Okay, so 3 plus -6. I'm going to do it without a number line. So I know I've got 3. I'm going backwards 6 spaces. So I'm going to get -3 plus -2. Let's do those together. -2 plus 5. Start on -2. Go up 5 spaces. You can use a number line if you want. And I get a 3. And then plus a -8. So let's add a -3 and +3. What do I get? They're opposites, aren't they? 0 plus -8, and my answer would be -8, right? Okay, let me give you one more little tool. Let's do -6 plus 4. So I've got 4 positives, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative whatevers, pizzas. I'm going to cancel those out. So I'm going to cancel. So those are opposites, so they cancel. Those are opposites. Those are opposites. Those are opposites. What do I have left? Positive, or sorry, a -2, right? So 2 negatives is what I have left. You can use that little chart until you get the hang of it. The number line is good. Some kids like one thing, some kids like another. I'm going to post some rules on the website about how you determine whether to add or subtract, and that'll help a little bit as well. So good luck with this. Take it slow, practice, practice. If you get it wrong, go back and figure out what you did wrong. This is one of those that you need to get it right now, and it'll save you a lot of time later. Practice, practice, practice. Maybe some round the world with positive and negative integer addition might help. I guess you can't do round the world, but get your parents to make you some flashcards, or I'll send a link or something. All right, good luck.